This is Shay M. Lawson, Esquire, and you are listening to A Minute of Your Time. On today's episode, I am talking about what to do if you don't get paid. If you are a freelancer, if you're an engineer, if you are a live performer, if you are any kind of small entrepreneur, I am guessing that you probably have at minimum 1 or 2 open invoices, just clients that you have done work for and you have not gotten paid yet. So if you are trying to figure out how you should be spending your time right now, as this is being recorded, we are in the middle of the COVID-19 quarantine and shelter in place. This is actually a perfect opportunity to follow up on those open invoices. And today I'm giving you the tips and tools that I utilize from my clients on how to get those open payments paid and money in your pocket. I'm all about helping you secure the bag, protecting your passions and profits. So you can always catch the show notes where I am giving you the exact script that you should put in your emails over at shaymlawson.com. Click on podcast and you will see the show notes there. Again, it is Shay M. Lawson. Click on the podcast and you will see the show notes right there. So without further ado, let's hop on in. All right, so let's dive in. What should you do should you not be paid? The first thing you want to do if you have not received payment is to check the agreement. See what terms it is that you agreed that you would be paid. Maybe it's not time yet. Maybe you missed that detail in the contract. I always say that in contracts, people get caught up with seeing that the dollar amount is correct, but they don't check to see when and how they might be paid. And a lot of times, especially if you're working with corporate clients, as a freelancer, it is going to be what's called net 30, net 60, or net 90, which means that you will not be paid until 30, 60, or 90 days after you send your invoice. Did you actually need to send an invoice in order to get payment? And so because you never sent an invoice in, you didn't get payment. Or was your invoice even correct? Did you miss a purchase number? Should you have had an account number or a reference number? So you want to go back and check the agreement to see what were the terms of how you would actually get paid. And a caveat on that is, did you even set terms in the first place? So if you only sent an invoice and it didn't have a due date and it had no other terms, if you just exchanged emails or text messages and you never talked about how or when you would get paid, you're going to be in a trickier situation than someone who had set up their service agreement from the beginning or who had signed an agreement in the beginning that set out payment terms. So that's the absolute top thing that you want to do, is make sure that the terms are clear. You are clear on the terms that you should have been paid on. So now, once you check the terms that you should have been paid on, reach out to whoever the contact was, whoever the client is, or the person at the agency or the business that you originally submitted the work to, or who approached you with the offer, and send an email that states that you have not been paid, that you are simply checking on status. Sometimes you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Things fall between the cracks. There's a lot of things going on. And so with everybody being at home, being right at their computers or their phones, they may be able to check for a status and catch up on the things they haven't done before. So you'll catch more flies with honey than vinegar. So start out nice. But now let's just say that you've gotten to a point where you've sent that email, you're clear on when you were supposed to be paid. At this point, you want to send a follow-up in a few days. I'd say give it 3 days to a week, whatever your tolerance is here, and highlight the payment terms that were agreed upon and request a different contact if necessary. So your email is going to sound something to the effect of, "Hi, I'm just following up on my email from March 20th regarding a payment status. Based on the terms of our agreement, I should have been paid in net 30 and it has been 35 days. Please let me know if there is another more appropriate contact to expedite resolution." So here you're moving from friendly to getting very businesslike of like, "Hey, I know when I should have been paid. I'm going to highlight to you what we've agreed on, and if you're not the right person, just let me know, but I need to be paid, right? And so it's all about how you phrase things, but you definitely want to get just a little bit more buttoned up in that follow-up response. And then I would also say, do your research and find out who that other person is, that other contact that you are asking about. So find out if there is like an accounting or accounts payable contact that you can talk directly to that might be different than your project contact, right? So you might be working with somebody who's in marketing or advertising or, the front office, and they have no idea what's going on in accounting or accounts payable. And there may honestly be somebody else where they thought that you were paid, and them getting your email is the first time, them hearing about it. So there might be somebody else you need to talk to. So it's worth just asking the question and also doing your due diligence and CCing. If you've ever been, had somebody send you an email where they CC somebody unnecessarily and it just burns your buns, sometimes you got to be that guy in order to get your money. CC a CEO, a supervisor, a vice president, whoever you can find that might be above them or that you see is listed in accounting or accounts payable. And a lot of times that will get you a quicker response. So now you've checked the terms that you were supposed to be paid on. You sent an initial email. You've now sent a follow-up email and you haven't gotten anything. At this point, you want to send what's called a demand letter. So a demand letter is a correspondence, a very formal correspondence that states that you are going to consider taking legal action if you are not paid in a set amount of time. So this is very serious, and you want to be prepared to back up whatever it is that you were saying. And so I would always suggest, using the phrasing, I am exploring all legal options. You never want to threaten somebody with a lawsuit that you aren't really intending on backing up. So you just want to say you will explore all legal options to ensure that the contract is, abided by, including the terms of payment. If payment is not made to you in X number of days. This is something that I would suggest sending both via email and via registered mail, where someone needs to sign for this in order to get it. And so you need to, of course, have a name and an address, a physical address where you can send this to, where it can be received, and someone has to sign off on it. And so taking that extra step to move from just having an electronic mail to saying, I've now taken a step to have a registered mail sent to you that you have to sign for, is I'm serious about my money. That's, I would say maybe 75% of the time you are likely going to have your payment dispute resolved at this point. And then I would say the very, very last resort is taking this to small claims court, depending on the amount. You want to make sure that the amount is worth your time, because you want to count the court costs and count having the person served, which for a small claims court could probably cost you anywhere from like $150 to $350. So if you are haggling an unpaid invoice that's for $300 or $500 or, something like that, it might not be worth the time and effort to file a claim in court, just because you will spend the money that you're really looking for. And I know a lot of times, like as a freelancer or something like that, you don't want to spend your last dime on taking somebody to court unnecessarily. And so you really want to make sure that it's worth your time. Make sure that you followed these other steps before. And this is genuinely a last resort. But again, as a last resort, you want to take them to small claims. Everything that you've done in the previous steps is going to assist you in your small claim, because one, you will have your agreement in which you and the other party agreed on the terms of payment. Two, you will have several follow-up emails in which you try to resolve this outside of the courts, in which a judge is always going to ask, what have you done to resolve this prior to bringing this to court? And so you will have that. And then you've done your due diligence to see who are the parties that maybe you should be having this sent to. And so you will have all your information. So I can't reiterate enough that in doing business, this is one of the key reasons why you need a contract, even if it's just a really, really basic one sheet, three, a note in your invoice that has an agreement, and you want to have full legal names, you want to have registered business addresses in case it gets to this, because you can't sue somebody you don't know who they are, who they're actually doing business as, what their business name is, or where you should even serve a lawsuit to. And so those are some of the key details you always want to look for in a contract. Those are some of the key details you always want to get in an invoice if you are the person sending an invoice for your services. And you just want to have those ducks in a row when you are chasing down your money. So as always, I want to give a disclaimer here that this is not individualized legal advice. This may not be suitable for every situation, and this does not substitute you getting a consultation with a lawyer that is licensed in your particular state and qualified to represent you and advise on your specific situation. If you have any more questions or want to see what are some other things that you should have in your services agreement, go on over to shaymlawson.com and click on podcast and check out the episode of Minute of Your Time for 5 legal terms your agreements must have. That's episode number 2. Legal terms your client agreements must have for all the other things that you should be looking out for when you are freelancing. You have a small business and you just want to make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed when you are doing business, to really help you and save you from headaches and heartaches when business doesn't go as planned. And a lot of times, not getting paid is one of them, but it's important for people to know that freelance does not mean free, and I'm always happy to help you legally protect your passion and profits. Until next episode, this is Shay M. Lawson, Esquire. This has been a Minute of Your Time. Be sure you are subscribed on Apple, on Spotify, and Anchor FM.